Okay, we're recording the meeting now.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So welcome to the Board of Trustees meeting number 152. We have all the current trustees here except Olga that will probably be joining later, and we have the incoming trustees as well that they are here as observers. So I take this opportunity to welcome you again and looking forward to working with you after the AGM in just a few weeks. So first of all, yeah, welcome everyone. We didn't get apologies from any trustees. So as we said, we expect Olga to be joining us very soon. Any declaration of conflicts given the agenda? I see none. Okay, good. Okay, so then we are going directly to point 2 on the agenda.
Great, can't wait.
Yeah. Okay, so the idea is, as we usually say, just to document the resolutions we approved by e-vote. And again, this is not to approve the resolutions, they were already passed. This is just to document them. So, John, you want to say something about that?
No, just, I mean, all the trustees have already voted on these, so you presumably all know what, you know what they all say, and they're in the board book if you care.
Okay, good. Yeah. So there, Kevin is scrolling down. Okay.
Right.
And actually, we don't need any resolution for that. So it's just for documentation purposes. So thanks a lot, John. And thus, moving on to point number 3 on the agenda, which is to welcome a new chapter. So then I need someone to move.
So moved.
So Mike moves, Walid seconds. So the idea is to welcome the Comoros chapter, and we are very happy to see new chapters all the time. So a very warm welcome. And as usual, we will pass this resolution by acclamation. And people watching the YouTube videos, they always tell me that trustees should really unmute because otherwise it's only me clapping and it doesn't look good on YouTube. And that much better. Okay. No, because seriously, I'm very happy to see the new chapters. We are also informed that 5 chapters have recently been moved into rejuvenation, which are the Guyana chapter, India Bangalore, Malta chapter, Spain Galicia, and the Thailand chapter. So we are looking forward to see how that process goes. Okay, so Glenn is clapping on the chat room. That's good. Thanks, Glenn. Moving on to point number 4 on the agenda, which is basically, we do this every year. We have a set of action points that the current board wants the new board that will be basically constructed or constituted by the AGM in a few weeks. So this year, the summary of the agreed board action items is to support a governance reform working group, which we just put together, and we will be basically chartering it officially very soon. Then to support a CEO succession planning committee. This is also a committee we recently chartered, and we are actually kicking it off right now. So you will see some action very soon. Then to determine a high-level strategy for revenue diversification for the future. And as you know, this has to do both with risk management, but also with the public support test, which Richard basically talks about that a bit in his finance committee report. So basically, we thought that would be kind of important to stress it at this level. And finally, as usual, we always ask the new board to continue support of the projects that are part of the 2020 action plan, obviously. So those are the items. Any comments before we pass the resolution? I see thumbs up. Okay, so I need someone to move. Okay, so Pepper moves, Hiroshi seconds. We're gonna pass this by, well, I would say a show of hands, but Sean and Glenn don't have their videos on. You guys want to turn your videos on, or shall we do a roll call? Okay, I see Sean, and I see Glenn. Okay, so then let's do a show of hands. So I'm gonna be asking for yes votes, abstentions, and no votes. So yes votes, please raise your hands. Okay, abstentions? No votes? Okay, so the resolution passes unanimously, considering that we are 11 voting trustees and that Olga is not with us. So John can capture that. Okay, thank you. So moving on to point number 5 on the agenda, which is to accept the report of the independent auditor, and Sean is going to introduce that briefly. Sean, please go ahead.
Hi, I got my kids, so I got the video off. Every year, as part of the financial processes that happen at the ISOC, the Internet Society, we get an independent audit. This year, we used the same auditor as last year, RSM. They did their review of the 2019 stuff, financials, and that includes every ISOC itself and all subsidiaries, affiliates, everything. Sorry, not affiliates, PIR. And basically, we came up smelling like roses as usual. So that's all good. It's a long report. If you're really interested in the nitty-gritty details of everything, you can dive into it. I want to say it's like 30 pages, but it all looks good, so to speak. So that's really all I need to say, I think.
Hey, thank you, Sean. Any questions? Okay, I see no questions. So I need someone to move again.
I would like to move.
Yeah, so Sean moves and Hiroshi seconds. And I mean, okay, if turning on video is a problem, let's do a roll call. I mean, it's gonna be easier. Okay, yeah, okay. So show of hands again, then it's gonna be, you know, yes, abstentions, and no votes. So yes votes, raise your hands, please. Abstentions, no votes. Okay, so the resolution passes unanimously again. Oh, okay, I see Olga coming. Hey, hello, Olga, welcome.
Problems.
Yeah, I understood you were having technical problems. So we were just voting on to catch you up on point number 5 on the agenda. So the resolution passes, yeah, unanimously without Olga, because Olga just joined. And John, you may want to capture the fact that Olga just joined the meeting.
I did.
Excellent, thank you. Always a step ahead. Okay, so moving to point number 6 on the agenda, which is the audit committee report. As you know, we always have end of cycle reports by all committees, so we're gonna go through all of them. I will give the floor to the committee chair. I expect a very brief presentation in case something special you think is worth mentioning, or it was business as usual, whatever, and then we will pass the resolutions as usual. So please,
so, hey,
yeah.
So business as usual for the audit committee. It's one of the best committees because it meets infrequently and you have a lot of staff support. So basically we met twice. We reviewed the 990s from the previous year. We did the independent, we reviewed the independent financial audit, and we reviewed the conflict of interest. The only thing we didn't do this year that was done last year was to reapprove the auditor, but you basically use them for a certain period of time and then you get a new one. And they just kind of re-up with them last year. So once they did that, we just kind of keep going, and you'll probably use them at least one more year before switching. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean. Any questions to Sean? Okay, so I need someone to move.
I would like to move.
Okay, so Sean moves, Olga seconds. And again, I'm gonna be taking yes, abstentions, and no votes. So yes votes, please raise your hand. Abstentions, no votes. Okay, so the resolution passes unanimously, this time including Olga. So 11 positive votes. Okay, thank you, Sean. Moving on to point number 7 on the agenda, which is the recently formed, as we said before, the CEO Succession Planning Committee. So Mike is the chair of this committee. So Mike, you want to introduce briefly?
Yeah, I'll just say we have formed the committee. That's basically it. We have formed the committee. We have done literally no other thing than we formed the committee, and we are going to coordinate initial meetings very soon.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Yeah, the next step is really the kickoff meeting. So we are in the establishment process. Okay, any questions to Mike? Okay, so I need someone to move.
I move.
Okay, Mike moves, Hiroshi seconds. And again, I'm gonna be taking yes, abstention, and no votes. So yes votes, abstentions, no votes. Okay, so the resolution passes unanimously. Thank you, Mike. Good. We have then the compensation committee report, and you know, the chair of the compensation committee is ex officio the chair of the board. So I have been chairing that committee this year, and this year, I mean, the basically a task that we do every year is to set goals for the CEO, in this case Andrew, to basically review his performance last year, set the variable compensation based on that, and all that. This year, actually, we revised basically and reviewed all the list of tasks of the compensation committee, so that, you know, we get the right input and the necessary input from staff, from HR mostly, because we are working together. For example, when we need to compare or to study our compensation policies, we need, you know, a market research and stuff like that, which is not done by the board. I mean, they basically take care of that. So we went through all that. It took a while, but I'm quite happy with the list. Now we have a work plan with, you know, timelines, which months we approve things, and you know, what type of input we get before we make decisions. So at this point, I'm quite happy with the structure of the committee. Any further questions? Okay, good. So I need someone to move. Okay, Walid moves. Someone to second. Mike seconds. Okay, so again, yes votes. Raise your hands, please. No votes. Abstentions? Okay, so the resolution passes unanimously. Thank you. Point number 9 on the agenda is the elections committee report, and Hiroshi was chairing the committee this year. Hiroshi, please.
Yes, thank you for the great help by the Kevin, as well as IT staff, for the smooth administration of the election process and voting. Then this year, some modification from the initial plan, though that's going to smoothly, performed until the end, in the end of the voting result announcement, I believe. And also the rating of the voting ratio going to be a little bit lower than last year. So that's going to be, that was the same level as 2 years ago. So I hope the next year, the voting ratio should be improved, compared with this year, I hope. And also as a committee member from the chapter advisory council and the organization council, providing two good person to oversee the process, I believe. I think the election, it was very smooth, and according to the some condition and change of the condition, though that was the smooth. And also, once again, thank you for the great support by Kevin and IT staff. That's it.
Thank you, Hiroshi. Yeah, it's always great to get help and from active people. So that was great. And thanks, Kevin, again. So any questions to Hiroshi? Okay, seeing none, I need someone to move. Okay, so Olga moves, Pepper seconds. And again, yes votes, please raise your hand. No votes, abstentions. Okay, so the resolution passes unanimously. And just for the record, before, Glenn was clarifying that his vote was yes before, because he didn't get to turn on the video. So thanks, Glenn, for clarifying that. Okay, having passed that resolution, we move to point number 10 on the agenda, which is the executive committee report. And again, the chair of the executive committee report, ex officio, is the chair of the board. So I was chairing that committee. And I mean, for background, like a few years ago, we decided that, we would only use the executive committee in case something needed to be decided very quickly. So we didn't have a chance to actually call for a full board meeting. And this year, actually, we had to make a few quick decisions, but it was actually possible to call for full board meetings, which, I appreciated the availability of trustees. So basically the executive committee didn't do anything this year. We didn't even meet. So that's kind of easy from a reporting perspective. Any questions? Okay, so I need someone to move. Okay, Hiroshi moves, Walid seconds. So again, yes votes, please raise your hand. No votes? Abstentions? Okay, the resolution passes unanimously. I was checking because Sean's video had frozen for a second, so I wasn't sure who was he voting on. Okay, but anyway, the resolution passes unanimously. Moving on to point number 11, the Finance Committee report. And this is a bit, more beefy report with more content. So Richard, please, could you please introduce it?
Yeah, there's a few details in here, and sorry it's a bit late breaking. Hopefully none of the details are surprising to folks. This is largely reviewing stuff that we've been talking about over the past year. Overall, the financial health of the Internet Society is quite strong. Revenue continues to exceed our expenses. I call out two kind of major points in that report. One is that we do have a bit of an issue with deploying our resources effectively. So we have quite a bit of revenue from PIR and some non-PIR sources, and we need to make sure we've been pretty consistently underspending that for the last couple of years. And especially with the adaptations due to COVID coming up, we're going to need to keep an eye on making sure that we are executing on the resources we have and putting them to use for the mission. The other thing I highlighted, which is what Gonzalo called out a bit earlier, is that we need to keep an eye on non-PIR revenue and make sure we are keeping that up and balance, both for diversification and sustainability reasons and for public support reasons.
Thank you, Richard. Yeah, I mean that's I mean it's yeah, we have been dealing with really important things this year. So yeah, it's been a lot of work, and thanks to the whole financial committee and Richard as our treasurer. Any questions?
And
yes,
I'd like to thank Sandy and the finance staff for their robust support throughout the year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, Sandy is part of the committee as our CFO, and yeah, she's very useful there. Yeah, she couldn't join today. Okay, any questions to Richard? Okay, so I need someone to move.
I will move.
So Richard moves, and then Hiroshi seconds. Okay. So yes votes, please raise your hand. No votes? Abstentions? Okay, so the resolution passes unanimously. Yeah, thank you, Richard. Okay, moving on to the governance committee. John, that's yours.
Gonzalo, there was a question on the chat.
Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah, so.
I was going to answer Ted there.
Yeah.
Ted asked about how close we are to the public support test. I will forward you the financial information from the end of 2019 to the board list and let you take a look for yourself. Overall, we're the proportion of our revenue that comes from PIR is in the high 80% sort of range, which is getting close to the point where it becomes where we're approaching some hard limits.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason why we included in the previous resolution, not this one, but the resolution we passed at the beginning, an action point to the new board that, I mean, continuing looking into revenue diversification is really important. And as I mentioned before, I mean, it's not only risk management, it's exactly this, is the public support test. So it would be a pity not to be able to carry out certain, activities just because of this. So yeah, let's make sure this happens. Okay, any other question I may have missed? Okay, good. So yeah, I was saying the governance committee report. So John, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. The governance committee had a fairly quiet year this year. We had no formal meetings. And the two things we actually did was to put together the board orientation as we always do. And also, we noticed that in a list of good governance features that some of the organizations that evaluate nonprofits use, one of the things that they noticed was that we do not have a board member agreement that every board member is supposed to sign. I don't actually think it makes much practical difference, but we put together a proposed agreement that everybody has seen and where we all promise to be good board members. And later on this agenda, we are agreeing to adapt the board member agreement. Normally we do a board self-evaluation. We skipped it this year. We need to do it again next week. I move we accept the report.
Okay, thank you, John. I need someone to second. Okay, so Mike, seconds. It's not that I have a bias to certain people, it's just the position they appear on my screen. So, because then people complain that I'm always asking the same people. Okay, we need a function to shuffle the video mosaic. So, you know, yes votes, please raise your hand. Okay, no votes. Abstentions? Okay, so the resolution passes unanimously. And point 14, it's, no, point 13, sorry. It's actually, you know, what John was mentioning, the board member agreement. So you want to talk about that, John?
Hold on a second.
This is to explicitly adopt the new board member agreement.
Right, everybody's seen it, and it's in the board book. Yeah, so this simply this is the agreement we all promise that we'll sign, and so I hope we all will. I move sorry, I move the resolution.
I second.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so yeah, yeah, Kevin was showing this. Thanks, Kevin. Now I can see the videos again. Yes votes, please raise your hand. No votes? Abstentions? Okay, so the resolution passes unanimously. And thanks to the governance committee for putting this together. I think it's good governance to have it. So I'm very glad to see it and see this happen.
Yeah, at the very worst, it's harmless, and it might remind some of us of exactly what it is we all promised to do.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, good. Perfect. Thank you, John. Okay, and just to continue with you, the PIR nominations committee report.
I guess I missed that on my yeah. Since there were no vacancies in the PIR board this year, we did not do anything. I move we accept my report.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it's John. Maybe it's worthwhile mentioning that we extended the
terms.
The terms, exactly. The terms of two directors there, right?
It's that is
true.
Yeah, it's right. There were.
It was Norel and Jeff.
Yeah, we extended Norel's and Jeff's terms since we thought it would be better not to be changing directors while the sale was still pending.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll note that. But yeah, I mean, but the whole board did that because we didn't have to nominate. We already had them.
Exactly. So it was basically, yeah, not a nomination process, but anyway, maybe worthwhile mentioning. Okay, yeah. Perfect. Any further questions? Okay, and John moved, if I understood correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. So someone seconds that. Olga seconds. So so yes votes. Raise your hand. No votes. Abstentions. Okay, so the resolution passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, with that, we reach the AOB part of our agenda. So that was all our formal agenda. Any other business from anyone? Okay, I see Pepper nodding, but I think he's not nodding to me. So I will assume there's no any other business. Okay, so then I move to adjourn. And please don't leave because we're gonna have a foundation board meeting later. So thanks, and the meeting is closed. Okay, Kevin, so you can stop the recording now.
Yep.